So, Munhoz versus Edgar. We just got done rewatching this fight, and oh my god, what a main event! Like,
wow,
maybe fight of the year candidate. I mean, I don't think it's better than Zhang versus Weili or maybe Hooker Poirier, but
you got to have candidates.
Be up there.
And I think easily right now top 3 best fights of the year.
Yeah, it's one of them.
And I'll tell you why. Strike after strike, these guys looked like they had infinite gas tanks. And at the end of that fight, I go, could have went to either guy.
Yeah.
Could have went to either guy. And, like, I know there is some controversy online. You were telling me about that. But, dude, that fight was so close. But it was fun.
Yeah,
it was so much fun to watch, man. Those two just throwing and banging and just the combinations Edgar was throwing, but then the leg kicks Pedro Munhoz was throwing. It was just insane. The pace that these guys were putting out for 5 straight rounds. And, dude, like, hats off to Edgar, man, because, dude, people talking shit saying, oh, going down to bantamweight isn't the best decision for him. He looked phenomenal at that weight. And everyone, there were some talks on other podcasts too about we had talked about it off as we were watching it, how some people would say that his speed might, he might be slower than these guys. He's bantamweight guys.
Yeah, everyone thought he was going to lose that speed advantage, but no, he looked faster than Pedro.
Yes, he did.
I mean, he wasn't hitting as hard as Pedro. I feel like Pedro was hitting I wouldn't say the cleaner, crisper strikes, but I'd say the more powerful ones for sure.
Yes, and that's where the debate lies for me. Because for Edgar, his combinations were landing, but when Pedro hit him, he hit him.
Yeah.
And they were more powerful shots. But again, you have to weigh both of those. And I think for a fight like this, it was so hard. Normally, I can look at a fight and go, okay, I scored it this way, I scored it this way. I had it 2-2 going into the 5th. I know some people might have had it 3-1 Pedro. And I wouldn't sit here and be like, oh, how could you have a 3-1 Pedro? No, I could see how you had a 3-1 Pedro.
Absolutely.
It was so razor thin close. I mean, even the significant strikes in the first round, that might have been the hardest round to score of all time.
Yeah.
And then you look at the significant strikes, and they're both 23 and 23, and you go, oh, well, that makes so much sense why I had no idea who won that first round.
Yeah, first time I watched the fight, I gave Pedro the slight edge in that first round, but you could go back and forth. Really, anyone, just give that round to anybody. That round's a 10-10.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Mm-hmm. Round 2, I did have Frankie Edgar winning that round. He just looked so much faster in the 4 or 5 punch combinations. Just
and he was
the landing
more
punch.
that round. Yeah,
absolutely. Third round was close.
God, so close, man.
That was another close one.
I etched that out for Edgar. I had it 2-1 going into the 4th round. I thought Pedro stole it, especially in those last 30 seconds too. He's landing that big leg kick and following up on those combinations. I thought he stole round 4, but then round 5, I'm like, geez, as if this scoring couldn't get any harder. It was a coin flip for me.
Really, round 5?
Yeah, dude. It really. I mean, yes. Looking at the scorecard and stuff, Pedro might have edged that out.
Yeah, I thought he did.
Dude, it was so close that normally we talk a lot of shit about the judges, but for this instance here, I really can't because
I don't
it could have
envy
went
them
either
at
way.
all. I don't want that job.
Not with
not
this
for
fight.
Fights like that.
Yeah.
For fights like that,
as a judge with a fight like that, you got to almost look at that and go, please, someone finish someone because I don't know who to pick as the winner in round 5,
Exactly, yeah. How do you judge that fight round by round like that?
It's got to be
too
brutal.
Close. It's too close. I did think that Pedro Munhoz did do enough just to scrape out the 3 rounds. I thought Pedro scraped out the 1st. I thought he scraped out the 4th and the 5th for sure. 3rd, I even thought maybe he got the 3rd. So I kind of maybe agree with that judge who had it 4-1. But either way, I mean, a lot of those rounds are toss-ups. You could give it to either man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if this fight was a draw, because I think you could argue for one for this fight just because how fucking close it was, man. And even on the numbers, the numbers were so close. Some of those rounds, it was by 2 or 3 punches. Yeah. Crazy.
Well, and some were literally dead even ties. I mean, the second round was the only round where I could easily give it to Edgar. All the other rounds, I was like, dude, it could go to either guy.
Yeah.
Could go to either guy, whatever you weigh more. I think that was the biggest thing with the judges. Whatever you weigh more, do you weigh more the combinations being landed, or do you look to the leg kicks, the powerful leg kicks, and then the powerful punches of Pedro? Mm-hmm. How do you measure that?
Mm-hmm. Or
I
the
think
damage
that's one of those,
accumulation?
Yeah, exactly.
I think Frankie did take a little more damage, but he was landing more. So.
But nonetheless, and we had talked about this off, rewatching the fight as well, but I really pray that Dana looks at this fight and goes, oh, okay, both these guys are top contenders. And I was talking about this too, Edgar was coming in unranked, because this is his debut at bantamweight. But, he won the fight. according to the judges' scorecard, you give him 5, but then you give Pedro 6. And then you give Pedro an elite guy. Yeah, he's lost 2 in a row. But, dude, that fight was so entertaining, so fun, that I think Dana's got to reward those kind of guys, especially with a fight like that, where it was just so close.
Yeah, agreed.
Coin flip, man.
Agreed. So, obviously, Frank Edgar's right in the mix now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue for him to go right to 5. Why not? I think Pedro Munhoz is a top 5 competitor still. So,
yes,
even if they move Frankie to 4 or something like that and drop Corey Sandhagen, which probably maybe undeserved, but if it could happen. I've seen worse.
Yeah, it could.
I mean, who does a Frank Edgar fight next? I mean, obviously, after a fight like that, he's going to have to take some time off. Took a lot of damage. So, he could be 6 months down the road.
Cody Garbrandt's dropping down. So, that fight's not going to happen, because he's dropping down to fight for the flyweight championship against Davidson Figueiredo. So, yeah, I mean, maybe you throw him a Corey Sandhagen. I mean, that's really the only guy, because Aljamain Sterling's gonna fight for the belt against Petr Yan. And then Marlon Moraes already has a fight.
Yeah, that's Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Corey Sandhagen.
So really, everyone above Frankie right now is all tied up.
Jose Aldo. I know he's coming off a loss. I know he's coming off a loss, but he was the number 1 contender.
Yeah, but how many times have they fought already?
Yeah, I know. Well, they've
twice.
Yeah, that's
I think
true
they
in the
fought
featherweight.
twice already.
Yeah. But dude, you make that trilogy. If they have fought twice,
at
you
bantamweight,
make that trilogy. Yeah, dude, that'd be fun. I'm down to see it.
I mean, I'd watch it.
I'm down to see it, man. That would be a fun fight. That's the one word to describe that fight for me.
I say Jimmy Rivera or like Rafael Alonso or Dominic Cruz. That's who I want to see.
Dude, why the fuck does Edgar want to... Like, Edgar's, he's getting older. Let's not pretend. He looked phenomenal. Looked great. Definitely should be in the UFC. Not saying any of that about Edgar at all. But I'm just saying, like, realistically in his career, he's getting older. He's had a lot of fights.
Only got a few more fights,
yeah. So, like, why fight a number 10 guy? What is that going to do for his career? Even if it is a legend like Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, but even a win over a Dominic Cruz could catapult you into a title shot right away, I would feel like.
Potentially, yeah. I guess
he
looking
did
at this
fight for
list
the belt
here,
a few months ago.
But again, what if Marlon Moraes goes out and puts on a phenomenal performance? So
against
Sandhagen. So I guess you are right. I guess he could fight someone and then be the next guy in line after Marlon, but...
Yeah, well, that fight's probably going to happen here pretty soon, actually. So maybe the winner of that fight fights a Frankie Edgar.
Hey, I'd like to see that.
Even though Marlon Moraes probably won't fight Frankie Edgar because I know these guys are main sparring partners. I mean, they both train with fucking Mark Henry. I can't believe I forgot his name for a second. So I don't know. That fight probably doesn't happen, but I wouldn't mind if it did. Like, who knows? They do stuff like this. Like ATT fighters fight each other all the time. So who knows? This division's a little log jammed at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, this fight between Aljamain Sterling and Petr Yan needs to happen before anything else can even be talked about.
It has to happen. It should have already been confirmed. We should have already gotten a date on this fight. It is appalling and ridiculous. And I'm normally on Dana's side. I mean, Dana, I think, is one of the most brilliant minds in sports history, period. Yeah. Whether or not you like the guy or not, I really do. I think he's a brilliant mind. But, dude, get this fight going. This is the fight that Aljamain Sterling deserves, and it's the fight the fans want to see.
It's the only fight we want to see.
Well, and here's the thing: like, there's so many announcements on so many great fights coming up, which again the UFC does a phenomenal job with. This fight needs to be announced. Yes. When are we getting this fight? I don't care if it's a main event on a fight night. We need to see this.
I mean, especially now that we're scheduling fights out 3, 4, 5 months in advance now. Like for the first time in a few months. So MMA news that, like, fuck, we're finally getting fights scheduled out ahead of time for once. And it's nice. It's nice because now we know for sure Vegas is a lockdown. Like this shit, even if the pandemic continues on for another 6 months to a year, which don't be shocked if it does. Hopefully it doesn't, but don't be shocked if it does. If that happens, at least we'll still have fights. So either way.
And again, they're doing their due diligence too, and just testing these fighters and doing everything that they need to do to keep this, keep the ship rowing or whatever.
Yeah, just keep the fights going. Just keep the fans entertained for once. Yeah. All right. So good on Frankie Edgar. The legend still's got it. He proved all the haters wrong. So congratulations.
And thank you both to both those boys for such an entertaining fight. I mean, what a way? Because in all reality, that was not the most stacked card, but it was a great card. Great card though. It was one of those sleeper cards where you look at it on paper and you go, if you're a casual, especially if you're a casual, you're like, I don't know any of these people except the main event. But then you went through the card and every single fight was first round finish, second round finish, and you're like, damn, this is entertaining.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, this whole card.